Hi, welcome to Citizens Report. I'm your host, Patti Ceppa. I'm also the Vice President of the Radnor Citizens Police Organization. Today's topic is going to be the Citizens Police Academy right here in Radnor Township. Our guest today is Lieutenant Shawn Dietrich. Welcome, Lieutenant.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So let's start with telling a little bit about what a Citizens Police Academy is, basically.
Okay. This is it. When we go train, we go through about a 6 or 7 month program, or at least when I went 25 or almost 30 years ago. This is a very abbreviated program. And what it is an introduction. So police departments around the country started doing little programs to say, hey, come in and we'll tell you about ourselves. So you come in and just learn about the inner workings of the department. So what we did is we researched several programs, particularly White Marsh is a township a little bit like ours. We looked at what they did. We also looked at some of our other neighboring jurisdictions and kind of took what we thought was the best of all the programs and put it together put a program together. And it's been really people have been responsive in a good way, positive feedback, and I think it's just a great program.
So this is in different townships than I'm currently around here too. For instance, like Tredyffrin Easttown,
Correct.
Lower
So
Merion,
Tredyffrin Easttown is a school district. I mean to correct the host.
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah.
So they are two different police departments. Tredyffrin does operate their one. I'm not sure about Lower Merion, but I know yes, a lot of jurisdictions do in fact operate an occasional program.
Okay, great. And this is strictly for residents or?
So it's open to everybody. So anybody watching this or anybody that hears about outside the township is more than welcome to apply. We have a prioritization. So what we do is we will start with a township resident can apply for it. If you're what we call a stakeholder. So if you're a stakeholder, meaning you work in the township or you attend one of the universities such as Cabrini, Eastern, or Villanova, some tie to the township, whatever it might be. Maybe you were raised here and you moved out, but you just want to come back, and so you're more than welcome to do that. And then lastly, if we have open spots, we have anybody outside the township, we will open it up to them as well.
Okay,
just
great.
Maybe with a general interest in law enforcement. The only stipulation we actually have is you have to be over 18, or you have to be over 17, so you have to be 18 or over.
Okay. And is there any cost to attending the classes in the program?
It's absolutely free. The only thing they will be asked is, and you're a graduate, we have a great graduate here.
Yes, I am.
We'll ask you to bring snacks and stuff like that to it, and a few gifts maybe for the class lieutenant or things like that. But there's no cost actually borne by the student towards the township. It's a free program. Okay,
terrific. So I went through it. I absolutely loved it. It exceeded the expectations of what I thought was going to occur every week. And there were many surprises throughout it. Not 1 minute was I bored. So do you mind taking us through exactly what it is as far as time frame? I know it's a 9-week course possibly.
Yeah, so I can touch on two things on that. First, when we put this together, we really tried. One of the things we heard about some programs that didn't work so well is it goes in for a few weeks and it was just one PowerPoint presentation after another, and you just were talked to. And one of the programs, White Marsh in particular, had a little bit more dynamic to it, and we realized the more practical type of stuff we can do, the more things we can show you, not a picture of a range, but actually take you into our range. Not a picture of a SWAT vehicle, but actually let you go into the SWAT vehicle. It just upset. So we try to put together something that every single week you are doing something, whether you are going to be a participant doing it or you're going to watch something. But we have a lot of surprises. It's not incredibly physical. We have some use of force stuff, but you're not going to be doing James Bond moves. You're not going to nothing like that. You just have, if you're healthy and you can walk, and you'll be able to do the program. So with that in mind, we can go through the weeks if you'd like.
Okay, that's interesting because I feel it was bridging the residents and the community with the police, and you're getting to know the insides of how dangerous it really is, why you do certain things, and why you do certain things a way that you do it, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and I really feel this class helps with that.
I can't stress that enough. And the thing I actually teach is traffic stops. It's the last week, and it's the exciting week because you actually get to operate a police car.
Yes.
And do some neat things with the lights, and it's always a lot of fun. But I can't, even on my section, why we always ask, well, why do you shine a spotlight in their car? Isn't that kind of rude?
Yeah.
But when you're up there and you get to go up and you see how dark it is, even with all that light in the nighttime, then you understand why we do what we do. We're not being mean. We're not trying to do anything other than see in the car. But what I think it does is it adds a lot of context to our profession. It adds a lot. There are procedures we have to follow for our safety. We have to follow for the safety of the person. Sometimes we just approach things. It gives the participants a chance to see it just from our eyes. And we're not here to brainwash. We're not here to say, oh, the cops are right and this is the way it is. We're here to just show you a little bit of, just change your perspective a little bit and take a deep dive into what we do on our side. And people come away with a lot, most graduates actually come away with just a little bit of a different perception on how the police operate generally, and very specifically to Radnor, why we do some of the things that we do here.
And they do take away from that. I'm positive about that. So let's go through. That would be a good idea if we just kind of talk about what the students will incur, because it is a 9-week program. So if we want to just go through maybe starting with week 1 and give them an example about what happens each week, that would be good.
Without the surprises.
Yeah, right. That's good. We do not want them to know.
So first week is basically just an introduction. Sign in. You'll be issued your manual. An introduction. So a lot of us will just briefly talk, give you an overview of the program, kind of what to expect. There's a few things you got to sign. You got to pass a nominal background investigation because you are potentially you not sensitive information, but we want to make sure that everybody that goes through the program is trustworthy, and because you're actually going to have exposure to some of the areas of the department that generally a lot of people don't have access to. So we want to make sure everybody is we don't have anybody on probation or something like that. We want to make sure everybody's trustworthy. And then what we do with that, one of the first things we do is we give you a full tour of the police station, and our station actually has a lot to it. We have an indoor range. We have our whole armor section where we maintain and maintain our firearms and get qualified and issue new weapons when we need them and things of that nature. We have the lockup, which is we have 4 cells, 3 adult cells and a juvenile cell, which is rarely used. But we have a processing area back there, and just a lot of different ways, and we go through what each of those sections actually are. And then some of the former members, some of the former graduates will actually come in and kind of foreshadow what's going to happen in the program, and encourage them. We can talk about this later, volunteer opportunities at the end of the program for the future. This is not just 9 weeks and you're done. You go on, and we know many members come back in a variety of different capacities, and it's just a great opportunity. So all that is done on the first week. Also, we have an introduction to some of the commissioners will come in and talk, both former and present commissioners, who really have to support this. It's no cost to the citizens to go through it. There is a cost for us. There's going to be a little bit of an overtime cost. There is some equipment costs. We'll have some, not celebrity, but some the district attorney and some other elected officials and things like that will come out and speak. So but this requires coordination through our elected officials and support of the elected officials to do this. So you get to meet with them, the township manager, and some other stakeholders in the township will come and speak to you as well. So that's what the first week is about, and kind of setting the ground rules up for the following 8 weeks.
Okay. And this, remind me again, it's how many hours each night? 3 hours?
So it's 2 to 3 hours. We don't want to go over 3 hours. We try to limit that.
Okay.
But we do it we have 9 classes, 2 to 3 hours, depending on what's going on. So. Okay.
So moving on to week 2, we say it's the patrol division overview. Use of force as well is involved in that.
Correct. We start with a simple, just understanding what the patrol function is. Understand because we call them, it's almost cliche to say within our profession, it's the backbone of the organization. But no matter what we do, we have to answer 911 calls. So and what I mean by that is if we're short, detectives and the traffic highway patrol guys have to jump in and answer. I will go out and answer calls if they start stacking up and we're really busy on a day. Those calls come and they just handle everything. They handle investigation. So what it is it's an overview of what they do, and then we introduce to some of the equipment we carry, and then that leads into the use of force thing that we do. So we have every officer that gets hired by us goes through a pretty extensive use of force program that we have been trained in, and then we train the young officers coming on. So, and we give the participants a taste of what that's like, and some demonstrations. So
Demonstrations. Yes, that's exciting. Right.
it is. It is a lot. It's a lot of fun and very popular with the graduates.
Yes.
The recruits, I guess should say.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Well, the other, not to change the subject of the weeks, but the other item that's really popular is the ride with
correct.
an officer.
Correct. And that's actually not
was-
part of the 9 weeks. That comes after the thing, but you get to come along and kind of it's just a culmination of everything that you've learned, and you get to go out and meet an officer or two and ride along and just get a different perspective.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
and I think after you ride along, after you've gone through the program, a lot of things start to make sense. The radio, what we're wearing, how we do things. Again, I use the word context, but it just adds a lot of context to things that you may have just assumed were done one way, and in fact they're done completely different for a completely different reason.
Yes, I believe that. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Okay, so week 3 is firearms and use of force.
Correct. Well, I apologize. I use the force. So we introduce use of force in the first week, and then in the second week, we deal with all of our use of force. So we have we call it a continuum, a use of force continuum, and we introduce our model. So we have a model we use, and this model is really strict. If a person is acting a certain way, you have to, and if they're being aggressive towards us, if they're just mouthing off to us and they're not going along with what we're telling them to do, we have certain things we can do for that. We can guide them. Our presence, but if they present an edged weapon or something like that, then we have other things we can do. And this model lines it up, and we explain where we are. So the officers aren't just acting, well, this seems like something I should. It is very specific on what we are expected to do within this model. So we introduce that, and then we go through all of the levels of the use of force. And that starts with our presence, it starts with our de-escalation skills, and that goes all the way up to our firearms. So, and the training that is involved in each. And in this program, we have a new weapon we just got. It's a taser. So we are issue tasers, and we have just placed the order for them, thanks to the support of the township and the township manager. And we are going to be issuing them to every officer that's working will be able to carry one.
Yes.
And this is and again, it's just a great tool. It fits right in with our use of force model. And it's a way, they are great because it's a way to deal with somebody we don't want to injure anybody, and we don't want to be injured. And this is a way to kind of, in certain applications, it's a way to kind of bridge that gap. So we don't have to go hands-on. We don't have to all go to the ground when we can just, use the taser and actually get them cuffed. So.
And again, these are interactive weeks. It's
highly
not just,
interactive. Yes, this is that is where the practical application is in the third week, and you get a chance to you get to watch a real life demonstration with some of our use of force instructors, and then you just get I just want to say a taste of a little bit what it's like to go through. We're certainly you're not gonna get tasered, you're not gonna get thrown against the wall or anything like that, but you get a sense of what these can be like in some of these high intense situations, and you also get a sense of the how quickly it can escalate. We are taught at de-escalation skills. We really practice that as a department, but things can, when I say they change dramatically, they can change in a second. They can go from being as calm as you and I are, smiling at each other, to the next thing you know, you're in a fight for your life. And you have to be able to deal with that. You have to be able to transition that quickly. And that's, so we get a little bit of a taste like that. And even deal with somebody that's screaming at, not necessarily assaulting you, but is so angry and upset with, and because we deal with people in their absolute worst times. We come into their lives when things are just, nobody ever calls 911 to say they're having a great day. They're calling 911 because something's really gone bad. And we get people that are really in crisis or really just having really bad days. And we got to try to figure out what to do. And every once in a while, we actually have to use some level of force to get them into custody or what have you. I don't like to, but we do when nothing else will work. So.
Great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. So, all right. So the fourth week, this is the highway patrol, traffic safety. Wow, there's a lot. DUI, accident investigation, and motorcycles.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have a division. So the departments, and that's what the first week will also talk about, is how the department is laid out. And one of the divisions it's laid out in is the highway patrol / traffic unit. So they are all accident investigators. The high level accident investigation, which is a specialization. They're all all of them have been certified on the motorcycle. So there's a sergeant and 4 officers that work in that unit. And they're the ones, if a lot of people know some of the officers that work there because they've received a speeding ticket or something from the individuals that do work there. But they will go in and explain what they do. They, generally speaking, they go out and they respond to citizen complaints, so speeding, aggressive drive, whatever it is in certain areas, and we go out and we target whatever the complaints are. We also, the sergeant runs that unit, keeps track of places we know where accidents occur. Places we know where significant violations are occurring. We know just through the accident history on certain locations, they are really bad. So they will go out there and target those areas as well. But part of it too is there's a couple other aspects of it. A part I would call engineering, but they go out, if a line of sight is bad at a intersection, they will go out and check it out and make sure that it's in compliance with township codes and state law. And a lot of times it's not. Sometimes these things aren't. So they go out there and make sure that things are getting better. They help with the township engineer redesign certain intersections. So they do a lot of different things, and that's what we introduce at the program. They also get some involved in the accident investigation. These are highly technical, and what they do is we don't. If you just have what I call a fender bender, you will not probably see one of these guys. But we will deal with serious injuries or death. Somebody is killed, and we don't have one. Luckily we've had one for a few years. The last one was a couple years ago, but they will go out and investigate that. And part of the practical exercise that night is to give you a sense of what an accident investigation, a significant accident investigation, is like. And it's pretty interesting. The reconstructionists, they can actually, with their training, they can actually kind of reconstruct what happened based off of the damage of the cars, some of the marks on the roadway, and things of that nature. So, and those are complex investigations, and they often result in charges. If there's a DUI or somebody was driving aggressively, they can determine the speed of the car prior to impact, things of that nature, and they give a sense of that during the program as well. So
that's a good evening.
And then lastly is their equipment. They would be upset with me if I didn't mention their motorcycles. So they're all motorcycle qualified, but you'll get to look at their motorcycles and a little demonstration on how they operate and how they benefit the department as well.
Okay, right. That's a good point. Okay, criminal investigations for week 5.
So I'm an ex-detective as well. So I participate in this week too. So they give you an overview, and basically first I can just introduce the detectives. They basically will follow up anything they do certain types of investigations strictly that the patrol will not handle. So any kind of sexual assault or something along that line, we will immediately call one of them in. They handle any significant forcible felony. So we're looking like bank robberies. Unfortunately, last year, we had a homicide in Radnor Township. They were called out with that. So anything significant, and then anything requires a lot of follow-up. So your credit cards are stolen. You find out, oh, geez, they were used here and here and here. We will then take that case. If we think we can do something with it, if we can get video, certain stores we know, we'll find out where it was used. Oh, it was used at a certain store up in King of Prussia. We will then try to start pulling video from those stores, and we'll put that together. We're part of a detective network. We send it out to that network, and sometimes you start getting, oh, this is the 5th person, the 6th person, and then somebody stops that person, and then we all clear our cases. We actually can figure it out. So that's the kind of follow-up that our investigators do.
Very interesting.
So it is interesting, and they kind of go through that. So there's a lot of different aspects to what they do. The real serious crimes, and a lot of times they'll talk about their own experiences investigating some of these more significant crimes. They'll talk about one of our guys is really good with electronics. We sent him to a FLETC school, which is a federal law enforcement training center school.
Okay.
And he does what we call logical extractions. Basically, he can get in your phone when we have a right to do that and download what's on it. So
Wow.
almost all crimes seem to have a connection to a phone anymore. You know, people do something, we get them, we download their phones, and then we can see, oh, geez, yeah, they were texting each other saying, oh, yeah, we're gonna do this drug buy or whatever it is. A lot of information is done through phones. We also ping phones. So what happens is if you are a suspect in something, we think, oh, you live in Jersey, but we think you were, right there when the crime happened. We will get a search warrant executed on your phone records, and we can actually see, oh yeah, she was right there at the intersection when it occurred. So, you have a lot of explaining to do when something like that occurs.
So you knew exactly where that phone was going at
Correct.
all? Oh, wow.
So we can get a search warrant
That's
based
good.
off of that. So that officer he'll give a little bit of an overview of that and some of the other things. And then we set up what is a crime, the forensic side of it, and that's usually pretty interesting to people. The CSI effect, as we like to call it.
I remember that night.
So what we will do is we will set up a scene, and we actually have the participants. They will play a bunch of different roles, but basically investigators. They will go into a scene, collect the evidence, try to determine, based off the little bit of training they got that night, is that evidence, is that not? How do we do this and that? And it's a lot of fun. People really seem to enjoy that night a lot. And a lot of things that you think because you've watched CSI or NCIS will go to pass after that night. We don't wrap it up in an hour. How we get evidence, some things will surprise people that they didn't know, and some things that TV looks like they can do, point a wand, get whatever it is, it's not quite as easy as that. It's a lot of work. And detectives, while we use computers, we do all this fancy stuff, it's a lot of what I would call tradecraft or old school type of stuff. It's still picking up, at the end of the day, fingerprints just work. We get those and they just are so effective. And that's a technology that it's been used back to the 50s, 40s, and before that, so.
And they get to I believe the students get to
fingerprint.
Still,
Yep.
Yes.
We do a lot of the evidence type of collection. They'll get a chance to do a lot of that type of stuff.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's really neat stuff.
That's a good night too, right? Oh boy, week 6, the SWAT team, bomb squad, Delco Command Center.
We're going to go in with a bang on this one, right?
This one's surprising.
Correct.
At times, yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So we are part of. Week 6 is really about our partnership. So we are a relatively small department. We're 45, roughly 45, give or take, officers.
Okay.
We do have a level of specialization a lot of departments don't have with the traffic unit, the detectives, and things of that nature. But what we can't do is we can't put our own SWAT team together. We don't have enough officers to do that. We don't have a bomb unit. We can't justify a bomb unit. So what we have to do is we have to partner with other agencies or the county, and the county is great. We are part of. We partner with them in a lot of different ways, and this night's really about all those partnerships. So we have 5 officers on SWAT right now, and they're part of a regional SWAT team, a highly trained, certified team, and they are phenomenal. We are really proud of our guys that are on it. They're trained really well, and they will come out with their equipment, with everything, and show you what that's about. The bomb squad, they'll show you, that's also a county team. You'll get to see that. Tying into the week before, you'll get to meet some of the CID guys, so that's the Criminal Investigation Division through the District Attorney's Office. They'll come out and talk a little bit about what they do. When we have a homicide, they'll assist us with some of the larger investigations, but they also run the bomb squad and things like that. And then finally, how we're dispatched. You'll get dispatched. We are dispatched to a county. We don't maintain our own dispatch center. And you'll get a sense of an overview of how that works, why people call in sometimes and always satisfied with the service, or people seem brusque, but they'll get a context of what's going on when you call, and how their job is to take your call and as fast as they can get it down to us, because it's not the person that takes the call and just it's on a radio. There's a process that has to go through that, and they're there just to collect information and get it down to us as fast as they can.
And that's the county, correct?
That's the county.
Okay, so as we're running out of time, let's highlight the last 3 weeks. I mean, the K9 demonstration is phenomenal.
K9 is phenomenal. We have 2 K9s. We actually have 2 in training right now. We do a little bit of emergency management that night, and then our animal control aspect, which is everything from dog bites to the deer control situation that we
yes.
have in the township. And then week 8 is next to the last week is our traffic stops. My favorite thing: get to drive a police car, get to pull people over.
Yes.
Lot of fun, and it's very dynamic that night. Very dynamic.
Plus, you see how really scary it is
Correct.
to have a traffic stop, and you have no idea what's happening when you're approaching the car. That was frightening, actually.
Correct.
And then the course review, the graduation is absolutely amazing. It was over the top. It just was incredible. So that's
And it's not
the
just
last.
us handing out a few certificates.
No.
We have a few surprises that night and a
Yes.
few things that we do in a good way, and it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. We open it up. You usually bring your family in, and just a lot of fun to do it.
So if a student goes through this, they complete the academy. What do they do from there? Because they want to keep going, probably. They want to keep mending that relationship from the community to the police organization.
Absolutely. And one of the things we've done is there's just volunteer opportunities. We have a town watch. Encourage anybody to get in, and so they'll come out on like a Halloween when we just have so many people out that we bring in extra officers, but it's just a force multiplier. They come out, they drive around, they interact with the neighbors, and basically protecting their own. And then the RCPO, which you are the vice president of, as you said, the Radnor Citizens Police Organization, to help assist us with large events. So we have the giveaway of pumpkins and of the fall festival. They will come out and help us assist traffic and things of that nature.
Yes.
So they really help us on that. And we a lot of these big events we may not be able to do unless we had the help of the volunteers. So we really help. We help people get involved in that.
And that's a nice transition when they're done the academy to join the Radnor Citizens Police Organization, because then they're able to continue on with the service of the township, which is really nice.
Correct. And
It's
we
a
have
lot
great
of fun,
relationships.
too. We have a lot of fun.
Oh, it's a blast. And we
Yeah.
get to know, just like you and I, we get to know each other. And,
Yes.
it leads to other things such as the youth aid panel and things of that nature as well.
Yes, exactly. Well, I think that's a great overview. So if anybody would like to, there is an upcoming class. So if anybody would like to attend this class, it does start March 5th.
Correct.
And it's 9 weeks. And really, you have a choice of walking into the police department. There's also you could email let's see, citizenspoliceacademy@radnor.org.
Yep.
And you also mentioned on the website, I think.
Yeah, if you just Google Radnor Police and get to our website, eventually you can get down to a menu that will actually have our application there as well.
Okay, terrific. Well, thank you so much, Lieutenant Dietrich.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming in. And for all our viewers, please join us next time for another informative episode of Citizens Report. Thank you.